guys, this is Dormouse03, and this is my Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings Dark Difficulty walkthrough. Alright guys, here we are. This is the last mission of the game. Alright, so once you've collected the things that you wanted to collect from your storage, I would suggest, you know, potions, any kind of the like oils and whetstones, those kinds of things to bring along with you would be good. You'll have a little cutscene there, depending on what your choices have been in the previous chapter. And then we're gonna go meet Iorveth and get this show on the road. Alright, so after a very long cutscene that is sort of the culmination of everything that you've done thus far in the game, we're going to be heading to this tower and get ready to fight a dragon. I mean, it couldn't really have been anything else, right? So right here, you want to make sure that you're running and rolling through this area, because otherwise the floor is going to crumble and you might get caught in it. At a couple of points the dragon will knock holes in the wall and blow fire. You just want to wait for that to go away. When that happens, and then keep moving, because you can still fall through the floor here, so you just want to be booking it. And then you're going to have a chat with Sheila de Tensorville, and you're going to have a choice right here. One choice gives you one achievement, the other gives you another. Basically someone has sabotaged her little teleportation device here, and in order to keep her from getting blown apart, you can take out the crystal like I just did, save her worthless life, and hope that she does something better with it. And if you do that, you'll get this achievement called Sensitive Guy. If you don't, I think you get the achievement, I think it's called Witch Hunter. And be prepared to get out of the way of this dragon that knocks through the wall. So this dragon, you want him to do this, or her, you want her to do that. You don't want her to do that. So basically what you want to do during this is to wait for the dragon to attack, get in a hit, and then roll away. Because what I'm doing right now is extremely dangerous and not what you want to be doing. You know, getting repeatedly smacked. So you want to try to stay away from the dragon so that it does the fire attack like that. I used Kin there to take some hits, and then, you know, trusted that I could manage the dodge, but that's really dangerous. Really dangerous business. You probably should take that fight a little bit slower than I did. Go in for one hit, roll back away, get it to do the fire attack, roll in, get another hit, and repeat. But in any case, once you get the dragon to, I think it's a little over half health, you will go into that cutscene, and then you're going to be fighting on the roof. So you want to make sure that you re-equip your sword. I think it takes your steel sword off for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and put on a couple of things to boost my power here. And you could have done this before that first fight with the dragon. You just needed to do it before you actually climbed up into the tower and started running up that. So I put a whetstone on my silver sword. That gives the most damage, more than any of the other enhancements I had. And then I'm going to use Swallow to enhance my vitality regeneration. And I'm going to use Rook to boost my sword damage even more. I haven't really used potions much during this playthrough. Actually, I don't know that I've used them at all. But any little edge that you can get right here is good, especially if it adds to attack damage, because this dragon takes a lot of hits. So I put on Kin. This fight can be brutal, but it's all about getting your timing down, and getting a good attack pattern. So the dragon is going to do this circly thing, and you don't want it to do this because now it's going to swoop in and do these like air attacks, which can be really annoying and difficult to dodge because the dragon is huge and has a really large range of being able to hit you. This fire attack is pretty good, but you cannot hit the dragon while it's doing it. You can't really hit the dragon after it gets back down either, because it'll just smack you. What you want it to get it into is a pattern where it snaps at you, you dodge the snap, roll in, and that's what you want it to do, and not miss the dodge. But it's hard to get the timing on, and it takes me a minute to actually get it. So just keep throwing Kin on whenever you get a hit. There's the dodge, go in for the attack, and then you want to immediately roll away before he smacks you again. Kin is so useful here because I mean, depending on your like, if it hits you in the back and you don't have those perks to lower the attack from behind damage, you're probably gonna die in one hit if you don't have Kin on. Even with those perks, you might die from one hit with Kin on, or at least have so little health. So definitely 2 hits will kill you. So here we've gotten into a better pattern here. When he does this fire attack, or when she does the fire attack, you want to, sort of get in close so that it doesn't hit you. Roll away when she goes for the slap. And there it is, just dodging the snaps, hit, immediately roll away to dodge the counterattack. There will be some times when she'll do this tail attack where she'll get up underneath the tower and like try to whip her tail around, and for that you just want to sort of be rolling around in order to dodge those tail whips, because they can be really irritating. So it does take quite a few hits, and I use heavy attacks as well. So every time I go in, I'm using a heavy attack, roll away. And as soon as you get down her health all the way, as soon as you kill her, basically, her health bar is gone. You'll have this. You have to hit A for that little quick time event, and then you're going to have one more quick time event while you're doing this. It's X. I'm not quite sure why these quick time events are here. They seem sort of silly. But there they are. And the rest of this is cutscene. And so what's going to happen at the end here is really dependent on your choices throughout the game, which path you took. If you did it the way that I did, then you will have Philippa Eilhart's dagger, and it's going to automatically use that. And if you did not do it the way that I did it, if you didn't get her dagger, or if you took Roach's path, you'll have a choice to kill the dragon or walk away, and both of those things count as an achievement. This will be the, save the dragon achievement, which is the same as walking away. So anything that results in her still being alive at the end. And I'm not 100% certain why he just had to touch her head with the dagger, because Philippa said that you needed to stab her in the heart with it. So I don't know if that was a lie or what, But in any case, Saskia is saved, and we get the achievement Dragonheart. You're going to have some cutscenes here. This is the achievement Once Ain't Enough for finishing Chapter 3. And you get to see some lovely cutscenes there that I'm going to trim out. And this is the epilogue. So we have a little bit more. We've defeated the dragon. To me, that's the final boss, because this last boss during the epilogue is optional, and I would suggest, if you're doing it on dark difficulty, to not fight him. That's my advice. There is an achievement for fighting him, but do it on a lower difficulty. There's no reason to do it on this playthrough, because you're going to have to do 2 playthroughs for all the achievements anyway. So you might as well do that when you're doing one of the easier difficulties. If you do fight him, it's Letho, and the fight is very similar to the fight when you fought him before at the end of Chapter 1. So he's going to be irritating and throw Igni at you and, you know, put on kin and all that good stuff. And so you fight him pretty much exactly the way that you fought him before. So it's not like this impossible, difficult thing. It's pretty much the same thing, except, you know, a little bit tougher because it is the end of the game. But that is really it. There were those 2 guys in that room right there that I just killed with Igni. There might be a couple of more soldiers on the way. These people died horribly. Like, getting put up on one of those spikes and left to die is one of the most horrible deaths that I can imagine. So, it's pretty gruesome up in this place. We got some more Nilfgaardian soldiers. And it's kind of interesting. This ending is, you know, pretty different in tone, I guess, depending on whether you ended up helping Philippa getting the dagger to save Saskia or going to rescue Triss. The way that the little tribunal of mages and kings and council folk, that went very differently. So I would definitely encourage you to try that ending as well, because I think that it was, I mean, it's worth doing. It's pretty different. It will be the same in terms of enemies that you fight. You know, you're going to have to fight the dragon no matter what path you took, no matter what you've done, no matter what choices you've made, you're going to have to fight the dragon there at the end. And you're going to have this confrontation with Letho that you can either choose to fight or not. So technically, gameplay-wise, the ending doesn't really change, but story-wise, it's a very big difference. And some really big implications for the rest of the world here, depending on what's happened. And so you're going to have some more cutscene, and you're going to have potentially a really lengthy chat with Letho. He will tell you a lot of information. I think I went through all the dialogue choices that I just trimmed out there, and it was like 20 minutes of of dialogue with him. So a pretty huge chunk of story to be had right there. And then when you get to this point in the conversation where when you've exhausted all of the dialogue that you wanted to go through, you know, tell him, let's finish this, and you're going to have the choice to either fight him and get revenge for that King Foltest at the beginning who you were apparently buddies with, I don't really feel a lot of allegiance toward that guy. He seemed like, I mean, I guess okay, but I don't know. Letho's kind of, I mean, all of the characters in this are really very gray. You know, it's always questionable as to whether, you know, they're a good guy or a bad guy, and I think that often they're, you know, not just one or the other. They are both in different situations. So, in any case, this is dark difficulty, and there's no reason to have to fight him. So, you say, go somewhere far away, I don't want to see you again. That's the end. And like I said, if you do choose to fight him, you just fight him similarly to when you fought him in Chapter 1. So there's our achievement for Old Friends, for letting him live, our achievement to be continued for finishing the game, and once you get finished with that cutscene, you're going to get your achievement for Madman 100G for finishing the game on dark difficulty, and you should be proud because it's not the easiest game. So that is it. I enjoyed this game quite a lot. I spoke a good bit about what I felt about the story and the gameplay and whatnot as we went through, but you know, as kind of a recap, I really did like a lot of the story elements. I liked the characters and how, you know, they were pretty layered, and a lot of them had a lot going on and a lot to them, and I liked the way that the story branched, and that, you know, depending on what you did, you found out different information about what's going on, and if you play it through several times, you get more of an idea of the whole story and what's really happening. So I liked that a lot. I liked that that depending on your choices, that really influenced the game and what you saw moving forward. I liked that a lot. The gameplay is enjoyable. You know, I really liked the magic, obviously, but I think another strength of the game is that each path is viable, and that encourages multiple playthroughs, right? Because, I mean, if you wanted to use traps and bombs, and you really wanted to get into using the potions and things to boost different stats and whatnot, if you take that alchemy path, you will find that those are the skills that are going to be really powerful for you. If you are more into the swordplay and the combat in that regard, you can take the swordsman path and level things up there, and you'll find that, you know, that makes some of the sword fighting more satisfying. So it's really cool that, you know, you have a certain number of points, you can put them into something. You can, you know, just upgrade one tree if that's what you want to do. You can put a few points into all three trees if you want to be sort of a jack of all trades, master of none. Or, you know, you can split them up between two. It's just, it gives it a lot of choice, and all of the things are useful or can be useful depending upon your play style. So there's really no wrong way to do it, because, you know, you're leveling up the things that are going to help you play the way that you want to play. And then if you want to play it differently, you can start another game and try out a different path, which I think is always the right way to do those types of skill trees. You know, a lot of games do it where you can eventually level up enough so that you can unlock everything, and I feel like often that's a mistake, because even though it allows the player to feel really powerful, you know, and you get to try out everything, it discourages playing through again, because, you know, you've you've already gotten all of the things that you wanted. You've gotten the abilities that you wanted to use, and you've gotten to try everything. And there's not this sense of being able to go back through again and do something differently and experience a different type of gameplay. So, I don't know, I liked the way that they did that. Some things that I didn't like were the parry riposte system. I felt like was really poor, especially if you play something like Dark Souls, where it feels very skill-based and responsive. Something like this just doesn't feel that way at all. Yeah, I didn't really care for that very much. And story-wise, I feel like it's pretty solid. I wish that there was maybe a little bit more with the build-up of the relationships with your friends. So, with Dandelion and Zoltan and Triss, like, I wish that there maybe was a little bit more going on with them. There's some dialogue, but I don't know, it just never feels like you really get to know them as much as you might in another game. So I wish there was a little bit more of that. I also, I guess, want to mention the heavy emphasis on sex in this game. So there's a lot of potential sex in this game, and I think pretty much all of it is optional, which I think is a good thing. The only, like, obligatory naked scene is the one in the beginning, and you can skip through that if you want to. I'm not saying that I don't want those to be there. I just feel like I'm glad that it's optional, you know? And like I said, I felt like Geralt, to me, was attached to Triss. And so those are the things that I wanted to, you know, go through with, because I felt like that was a part of the story for me. Whereas, you know, all these other little trysts that he could have with these minor characters, it just felt a little, I don't know, juvenile. Like, let's just put in sex. Here's sex opportunity. And I mean, I guess that may be how some people want to play, and they see his character as more of a player or unattached or someone who just likes to have a good time or whatnot, more of a casual type person. To me, he seems very serious, and like if he was in a relationship with someone, he would be in a relationship with that person. So I guess that gives you a little bit of choice there. But I think it doesn't work as much for me because he has an actual character with characterization. It's not one of these where you choose his dialogue options as much. He's more of a scripted character than something like, you know, your player character in an Elder Scrolls game or a Mass Effect game, or, you know, that kind of thing, where the character is more of a blank slate and you really put more of yourself into him. Geralt didn't feel that way to me. He felt more scripted, and therefore having a character and some character development. And so when things felt like they went against that, it was not as good. But overall, I think pretty well written. I enjoyed the story. Really fun gameplay. And I really liked that it had a final boss that actually felt good, right? Like, so many times in these things, the final boss is kind of a letdown, or maybe there isn't even really one at all. And so I liked that fighting Saesenthesis, which is a freaking amazing dragon name, by the way. Fighting Saesenthesis was a really cool final boss, I thought. And then the ability to also have Letho as your final or optional final was cool as well. So I enjoyed that. It felt like it culminated in something, which was good. So anyway, I would recommend this game to anyone who has an interest in RPGs. I thought it's very well done. One of the best of the West. I guess. I think this is a Western RPG. It feels very much like a Western RPG. So, one of the best Western RPGs that I've played. So, I would definitely give it a recommend to anyone who's looking for something of that nature. In any case, thanks for watching, guys. I enjoyed going through this game with you, and I will see you in the next project.